Hi, Tracy here with another scrapbooking process video. This time I'm using the Just A Girl kit and add-on from the Scraptastic Kit Club from January 2016. And I'm just going to be scrapbooking this photograph from Instagram from a couple of weeks back, actually. And I'm going to start by having a look through my paper, the pattern paper that comes in the kit. And this is how I usually start my process. I have an idea already about what I'm going to do for this layout, which is different. I usually don't have an idea, but see this paper with the 4 different patterns on it with big, large triangles. My idea started from that piece of paper. That was my inspiration for this layout. And I wanted to use that as my background for this layout, but I also wanted to use that background patterned paper as almost like a mat or 4 mats for other pattern paper that will go on top of it. So that background paper is from 7 paper, and I'm just showing them very, very quickly there. I will talk about each one as I cut them. I think that will be an easier way to do it. So this background paper is from 7 paper, which is a Studio Calico brand. And I'm just going to take off the manufacturer strip because I'm pretty sure that this is what the background is going to be. Sometimes I hold off on cutting off the strip if I haven't chosen a background paper, but in this case where the background paper was the starting point, I knew I was going to go with it. So I just took off the manufacturer strip there. And I do have a friend over, so I'm chatting a little bit throughout the process of making this layout. And I did try to go back and cut out as much of the blank dead spaces as possible. But this one might be a little bit slower going than some of the other ones. So this first pattern paper that I'm going to cut, and I'm just using my ruler because, I could easily put a little tick on each side and then use my trimmer, but it just seemed easier to me to just tear it. And I do like the torn edges. And then once I have one, I'm just going to make them all be the same size. So that gray and yellow pattern paper with the floral is by 7 paper as well. And then that polka dot one that I just cut a second ago is from the Photo Play Like a Girl collection. And now this floral one is from Dear Lizzie from the documentary collection. And then the stars are from 7 paper as well. So 3 of those papers are from 7 paper, the background, the stars, and the gray floral. And then the other 2 are Dear Lizzie and Photo Play. So that was kind of my inspiration, is what you see right there, just the idea of using that background as mats for 4 pieces of triangularly cut pattern paper from the kit. And I'm really liking how that looks so far, and my idea is that I'll probably put the photo in the middle. I wasn't entirely sure, but that was my initial kind of reaction. Sorry, I left my phone in the frame there, and there was a conversation going on that I wasn't sure if you could see. It doesn't look like you can see it, but I thought I'd cover it up just in case. So that is a piece of gray cardstock that came in the kit, and I'm just using it as a photo mat. And I'll talk a little bit about the photo when it comes time to do the journaling. And so, yeah, I think it looks best in the middle. Just it sort of accentuates or emphasizes the symmetry of this background paper. So these are Heidi Swapp acetate words that came in the kit. And there are black ones and white ones, and the silliness one really stood out for me because the kids were being quite silly, and I guess I was sort of being silly. I was trying to take a picture of the garlic bread, and the kids kept kind of popping in, trying to photobomb my photo, but what they didn't realize was that made the photo even better. So I kind of played along and pretended like, get out of there type of thing. But I actually really like the photo with them in behind. It makes it much better. So these are some chipboard stickers that came with the kit. And I just took them out for a second to remember what was in that set of stickers, because there's a lot of stickers in the set, just to keep in mind for embellishing ideas. And then I also grabbed that swatch of paint. It's a piece of plastic. It's actually, it looks like it might be vellum, but it's not. It's like it's almost like the plastic that sometimes school supply dividers are made out of, the little plastic pieces that you put in your binder to divide your subjects. But anyhow, it is a die cut of a swatch of paint. It's exclusive to the kit, and there are a couple of different sizes and colors in the kit, and I just took that red one. I thought it added a little bit of interest behind the photo. And now these are hardcover thickers, and I'm just spelling out the word photobomb. I'm going to cut it into two because, or am I? No, I guess I'm going to leave it. Sometimes I'll cut it apart just to experiment with putting it different places, but I left it together in this case. I actually already narrated and made this video quite a while ago, so that's why I'm a little bit forgetful about my process, because I lost all of the video became corrupt, and I had to re-import it and redo everything. So this is my second attempt at this video. It happens every once in a while. Yeah, so anyhow, I grabbed some small letter stickers, and usually in my process videos, I do bring the basket over and show you guys my process for picking them out. But in this case, I knew I wanted to use pink October Afternoon mini market stickers. I just knew that they would be a perfect balance for the look I was trying to get. So I just grabbed those 2 sheets of stickers that were pink. And so I didn't bring my basket over because I didn't think that you needed to see that, because there's not much of a process if you already know what you're picking. So again, I'm sorry that I disappeared for a minute. I think I'm coming back. It looks like I'm coming back. There we go. So I'm just spelling out quadruple, and I do misspell it, but I catch it before I get too far. This is part of the problem with scrapbooking while you're talking, is that it's a little bit easy to make a mistake, especially with spelling or with journaling, with grammar and that sort of thing. But that's okay. I'll catch it before too much damage happens or anything. I'd love to use one of those wood veneer bows that come in the kit because I think they're so cute, but I just didn't feel it for this layout. So I'll save those for another one. In general, I try to not save the best embellishments. I try to get them on a page as soon as possible. So if I love something, I want to get it on the page as soon as possible, because there's no point in saving it. You might as well use it. And if you save everything for too long, then you run out of time, or you get bored of it, or you don't like it anymore, or whatever the case might be. So I try to be very careful to not wait for the perfect layout to use a certain product. If I can make it work, I'll use it because I want to get those awesome, fun embellishments onto my pages. So I am struggling with a cold here today again. There we go. I realized there that I'm missing the R in quadruple, but instead of taking the time to readjust everything, I just added the R at the end because that gives me a sense of how long the word quadruple will be when it has all of its letters in it. And then when I go to actually place it on the layout, I'll make sure that I change the order of those letters so that it's spelled properly. So I'm just putting a tiny bit of ATG in the center of all of these pieces of paper because I am going to run this through my sewing machine. And whenever I have the option, I try to not sew over glue. My sewing machine seems to be, and maybe I should knock on wood here, but my sewing machine seems to be okay with sewing through ATG, but I still don't really want to push it. So here I am at my sewing machine, and here's Lila just making sure that everything is going to her standards. And yes, it was, so she left me alone for a while. And so as you'll notice, okay, so first of all, I ran out of bobbin, which I found annoying because I hate replacing bobbins. I actually don't mind replacing bobbins, but I hate rethreading bobbins. So I grabbed a purple bobbin and threw it in the bottom there. You're not going to see it because it's going to be on the other side. So as long as your tension is adjusted properly, you won't see the bobbins. So I will often put just whatever bobbin I have in place. I try to not use black because it is a lot easier to see that black thread popping through if your tension isn't adjusted absolutely perfectly. But yeah, so usually I just put whatever bobbin I have in the bottom, and then what I'm sewing with on the top is gold thread. And the brand is Coats, and I just get it at Michael's in the sewing area. So you'll notice that now my machine has the option to leave the needle in the project as you know, and then you can lift it up and swing it around like I'm doing there. And I find that makes for a nice, really crisp corner when you're sewing corners. So that's what I try to do whenever I can. There's a little button that either makes your sewing end with the needle in the page, or if you press it again, it makes your sewing end with the needle out of the page. So I just set it up so that it's going to end with the needle in the page, and then I go as far as I can, and then I lift up the foot like that and just twist it around and sew right along on my way. So I hope that makes sense, either by the video or by how I'm explaining it. And the other thing that I do is see how I'm not starting right at the corner. So I find that if I start at the corner, I don't know, one of those corners is not going to look smooth because it's going to have a beginning and an ending on it. And I have to be careful about lining up the two so that they meet. Whereas if I start a little bit in, you'll see when I end that I can just go straight right into the stitching that's already there, and it's just easier for me. It's not essential, but I just thought I'd mention that because I get questions about tips for how to sew on your scrapbooking projects. So that would be one of my tips, is don't start on a corner, start a little bit around the corner. And that's probably something that if you sew, you might already know from, I'm imagining that that's the case for when you're sewing with fabric too. But I don't sew. I mean, I sew with fabric, but I'm not very well trained or very trained at all in it. Pardon me. So next, I'm going to just take my time and pull up these edges. And I'm taking my time partially because I'm talking as I do it. But I really like to take my time with this because what I want to do is I want to bend the fibers of the paper, not just in one place, but I want it to look curled. So not just bent right where the sewing is. I want it actually bent a little bit out from where the sewing is so that the sewing sits flat, but it kind of gradually curves up from the sewing instead of having a harsh, crisp bend right at the sewing. I find that when it bends right at the sewing, it covers it up a little bit. It covers up your sewing a little bit more. Whereas if it gradually lifts from the sewing, it accentuates the sewing a little bit more. But again, there's no right or wrong way to do it. And I happen to be, also socializing while I was doing this. So I might not have taken quite as much time to bend all these. I mean, this is 4 times the speed and it's taking, several seconds here. So I think that if Stephanie weren't here, I might have just kind of very quickly done this, but I really do like the look that you get when you kind of do it a little bit more gradually. And see how I'm wiggling it back and forth to really break up those fibers in the paper to make them nice and weakened so that they'll curve up even after it's in my scrapbook and flattened a little bit by the pressure of the other pages against it, because there's no room there for me to put any pop dots in. So the other thing that I did was I just went back to my sewing machine and I sewed right along the patterns of that background paper where they cross, where the intersection is. So I basically sewed a giant X straight through the middle of this layout, and that I really like that. It just adds a little bit more detail and it gives it more of a quilted look. Oh, I thought for a second about making the whole thing on the slant, on the diagonal, and then I decided very quickly that I didn't like that look. I like the photo to be straight, and then just the title and the journaling will be on the angle. I'm just playing around a little bit with the placement of the title, and I'm going to grab some pop dots here, and I'm going to place my photo using pop dots, and I just want to get that swatch so that I'm seeing the right amount of it sticking out on the other side. I want it to be asymmetrical, but I do want you to see some of that swatch on both sides of it. So now I'm using some pop dots here, and I ran out of the large square ones, so I just took some small square ones and put them on there. I could have put another one on the middle, but I just didn't. Oh, there, I guess I did. Just to hold the space so it doesn't sink in if the layout gets crumpled or crushed under another layout. So now I'm going to place these thickers, and I love these thickers. They're one of my favorite fonts. I hear myself saying that over and over again, but it really is true. I love so many thickers. I'm a real thicker addict. And I've decided to place the title so that it's a little bit staggered, so that the P is not going to be right above the B. Instead, it's going to be against the edge of the photo there. And I just like that look a little bit better. And then the O won't be dangling out over top, like out on the other side of the B from bomb as well. I just like it a little bit better. There's no right or wrong way to do it, but that just looks appealing to my eye. Now you see how I'm floating up as I place these letters. They're getting a little bit more tall, or more kind of like, well, they're floating up is what's happening. That happens with these mini market letter stickers. If you don't get the first one placed exactly straight, what happens is when you butt each one against that first one and the next one and the next one, gradually it makes a bigger and bigger difference, and you do have a noticeable floating of your title, like it just kind of drifts up off of the baseline. And so I just had to, basically when that happens and it's at the end of the word, when you find out, you basically have to take them all apart and just scooch them all around and reposition that first one. And then if the first one is placed properly, then all the other ones will just lie in the right place very easily. So then I just used my tiny attacher to attach that silliness, and I did not peel the little film off of it. So all of those acetate words from, I think they're made by Heidi Swapp. I'm not sure if I mentioned that already, but they all have a very thin film on them to keep them from getting scratched by one another in the package. And I'm just going to place that flare badge so that it covers up one of the distracting elements in the photo. So there was a glass there, and I just wanted to cover it so that it didn't distract you from the kids' faces. So anyhow, if I had pulled the film off of it, it would be quite a bit shinier than it is right now. But I almost always leave the film on those sorts of items because I like the dullness of it. It's not dull. Like you can see that it, even when it's not its shininess, it's still fairly shiny. So that's enough shininess for me. I just realized I said the word shiny a lot in that sentence. So these are some stickers. Those flat stickers that I was thinking about putting on were exclusive to the kit. They're Scraptastic branded stickers. But I'm going to use these Becky Higgins chipboard stickers. And they're designed to coordinate with one of the core kits. I can't remember which one. And then there are also these exclusive die cuts that came with the kit. They're also exclusive to Scraptastic. And I'm thinking about how I can use those, but I think I'm going to save them for another layout and just stick with the Becky Higgins stickers here. So I am layering 2 of the Becky Higgins chipboard stickers, and they're a thinner chipboard because I assume they're thinner because they're designed to work in Project Life. And a lot of people prefer to have thinner items in their pocket pages. So because of that, you can layer them quite nicely and not have the results be terribly bulky. So I have 3 of them layered there, right beside the B in photobomb. And it's not all that much taller than the chipboard letter stickers themselves. So I'm talking here a little bit. Sorry about that. And I placed that other Becky Higgins chipboard sticker right on the polka dotted paper. Just adding a little enamel piece. These are by Heidi Swapp, as you can see from the packaging. And they just add a little something. And where there were some embellishments on the end of the title, so the B, by the B, I wanted to put a little bit of embellishment at the beginning of the title just to kind of balance that out. And I guess it's sort of like framing in the title. And now I have grabbed my Staedtler pigment liner, which is one of my favorite pens. And I think I grabbed the 0.05 one to draw some lines. And I definitely want to draw lines here because I want my journaling to not be, I want it to be straight because there's so many straight lines here. It will be really noticeable if my lines are not straight. So the journaling says, I was just minding my own business, taking a foodie pic of Scott's garlic bread, ... when I was quadruple photobombed. And then the little tiny sticker there, it says hashtag from where I stand. And I thought it was a good sticker because it the photo was taken from where I sit at the table. And so even though it says from where I stand, it's sort of like from my perspective. And when I'm doing my journaling, I tend to make up my journaling as I go, although in this case, I used the journaling from my Instagram post. And so I don't like to draw too many lines right away. I like to draw a little bit too few lines, and then I'll go and fill in the lines as needed once I realize how long my writing is going to be. That way I don't end up with a whole bunch of extra lines or extra space on a line that I need to try to figure out how to fill in, or if I'm going to leave it blank or whatever. So now I'm going to show you the close-ups of this layout. I hope you've enjoyed this video. It was a little tricky for me to narrate it because it was over a week ago that I made this layout. It was a long time coming, so sorry about the gap in my channel. I know I haven't had any process videos posted for over a week now, but I'm glad I was able to at least recover the footage for this one and get it up on my channel so you guys could see the process. Thanks so much for watching, and if you have any comments or questions, just let me know. And stay tuned for a video that's going to announce my new monthly challenge that I'll be doing on my channel. And there will be prizes and a challenge every month for you guys to follow along with if you'd like to. So check out that video. It's coming up pretty soon. It should be posted on the 1st of each month, starting with the February 1st. So thanks for watching and have a really great scrappy week.